I understand that when you foresee something that is going to happen and nobody listens, no one can see your vision. You warn people. You try to make people do things to prevent catastrophe. But they're completely blindsided. They are lost in their own dream and their need to control. They won't let go of it. They can't listen to you because then they are wrong, and that's going to dismantle their feeling of control. But when shit happens and they find out they're never in control, are you going to laugh at them and just watch them squirm? Or are you going to, there's nothing wrong with an I told you so, but if you want to fix a problem, you don't walk away from the problem. You find a solution together to eliminate the problem. And I find that a lot of people, instead of those who may have seen what's going to happen, instead of working together, they'd rather sit there and point fingers at the people who didn't listen. You didn't listen to me. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You deserve to suffer because now you've got this feeling of you turned into them, basically. Now you feel like you're in control, you're superior, or you're better, but you're not. You were just the wiser. And the wiser thing to do is to say, yeah, I know I was right. Now let's find a solution together because your enemy is my enemy. And in this case, we come together in unity to eliminate the power of our enemy. That is the solution, not the continuing of division and bickering back and forth, because then that just adds to the division of people, the division of power, the division of unity, and that's it. So make sure you're not falling into that. And when your common enemy is no longer, you can continue to work together and be a bigger team, or go back to disputing who's right and who was wrong. But right now, who's right and who was wrong doesn't matter. However, you plan for a safety net, because if the person that you're collaborating with is untrustworthy, you want a safety net to prevent them from going against you. Not with guns, not with violence. You set yourself up for progress in spite of those who don't want to see it. And if they do instead become your allies and not your enemy, well then, whatever setup you created can only help you. There's a way of doing things without becoming or being enemies. We are all human beings. We're all children. We're all feeling. We're all the same to me. In God's eyes, we're all the same. And if God was to dismantle all of us in our own way, in the Bible, it does say that the master, this is during the biblical slavery stuff, the master is not more important than the slave. The instruction was to be a kind master, to be a considerate master, to be a good parent, basically. And the slave was instructed to be a good slave, a considerate slave, be a good kid, basically. Because in God's eyes, they are not different. They are both just human beings. And these human beings are playing a game of superiority. But God says there is none, except for what I have appointed to be. And another thing, when it comes to slavery, people get upset. And counselors would know this. If you are in a cycle, whether you were born into it or forced into it, and you're in a cycle, You you can't just take them out and them not return to that cycle, because there is a physical attachment, an emotional attachment, a spiritual attachment, and a mental attachment. Did I say that? And you have to break all of those chains in order to be fully free. And so, while people are blinded and ignorant of these very deep and these deep things, until they wake up, you have to guide them out. You have to guide them out, so you can't just take them out. And sometimes it takes a few generations. So when God was accepting of slavery, I don't believe it was because God believed you deserved it. I don't think it's because God was accepting of it. It is something that had to be guided out. Because you can pull them out. You could have done a miracle, but that doesn't, their development wouldn't have kept them out. As a matter of fact, I don't remember where it is, but there is a story in the Bible where he kept trying to free people and they kept going back into the same cycle. The person that got appointed to do this was angry and was yelling at God, like, why do you keep having me do this? And they just keep returning back to why. But the person appointed to guide them out, it's not his job to judge. It's his job to help them, help the people. Because we return to something we haven't grown out of. If we haven't grown out of it, we'll go back to it. Just like in abusive relationships, we always go back to what is comfortable. We logically know this ain't right. We get angry, we get upset, we fight back, but we always end up in the same situation. Because you have to grow out of it. You have to relinquish the bonds. And you have to change your ways. And that is how you will walk away and never return to that cycle. You create a new and positive, healthier cycle. Okay? So, yeah, do that.